for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello? Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hello?
All right, so
what's happening?
we got everybody. Can you get how's your audio on your end, Ricky? Does it sound good?
Yeah, it sounds okay.
Okay, all right, all right, all right. So I want to go ahead and welcome Silas and Ricky. We're with the late night hype, if you will. How are you guys doing today?
Yes, sir. Oh, man, I'm doing excellent, man. Doing excellent, man. Had a good day today, so yeah, I'm chill.
All right, all right. And what about you? What about you, Ricky?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. It's a great day. Got to go outside, so that always makes my day better.
Okay. Oh, and you guys had a CGA meeting today, right?
No, well, we were scheduled to have class, but the alarm was going bonkers today, so we didn't get into class. But
Oh,
our actually, yeah, we have two actually, the one over the weekend and Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that didn't happen because of the alarm today, so we got deferred until next week.
oh, that sucks. Cause you guys look forward to those meetings, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a staple in my week.
And those CGA meetings that are held, are they who runs those meetings?
We
This
have
call and your
different
telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
we have different people facilitate, different fellas facilitate. So it's uh it's probably like a core of probably 4 or 5 people that facilitate, but man, we're all traveling together, so we all learning together.
All right, all right, all right, man. So
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I'm glad. I want to go ahead and thank you guys because I don't think I've ever done a call with both of you before. I think, or maybe I have like in the past when I really started doing these double phone calls. But I do really appreciate you guys calling up. I know it's a little bit on the later side, and some of you might be losing some sleep, but I just want to go ahead and show tell you how much I appreciate you guys calling in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, man,
I
we
definitely,
appreciate you for having
I
us.
definitely, yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely wanted to get on with Silas, man, and do
Yeah,
one with them. You know, he's a buddy of mine, so thought it would be good for us to get on here together and you know, see what comes of it. Maybe there'll be some good energy,
yeah.
right?
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I like
yeah. I'm
jumping on.
not. Go ahead.
I do personally. I like jumping on these calls with Silas because man, Silas, what he brings to the table, his vocabulary and the way he carries himself. It motivates me to try to pick up new words and try using new words.
Well, listen. If you talk to
Ricky's
Silas enough, you will.
Ricky's no slouch himself.
That's right. That's right. So for
Yeah, so we were talking, Ricky and I were talking, we were spending some laps on the yard earlier today, and one of the things that we touched on is just the the bar, if you will, for you know for BPH and their expectations of us in here, and we were in agreement that 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 the expectations were, that are put in place are put in place for a reason, and they produce a lot of success because the chances of someone, getting an Academy Award and acting their way out of here are slim to none. You really have to be into your transformation in order to be considered and to be released. And so I thought that was an interesting topic of conversation we were having earlier.
Go ahead, Ricky. You got it.
Oh yeah, it's one of the things that I appreciate as far as the board process goes. It's not something that you can fake. They are the keepers of the gate, and they know what they're doing. And it was a conversation not only that I was having with Silas, but I was having with a friend of mine earlier on the phone, and I was talking about how low the recidivism rate is for lifers that really do go through this process and actually get out of prison. I mean, the recidivism rate for us is below 1%. So, the standards that the board has set for us, yes, they're high, but the success rate for when we get out is, man, it's really high. And a lot of my friends, as well as Silas's that have gotten out, have become very successful at what they do. So, one of the things about the transformation process is you get to learn a lot about yourself, but it goes beyond just getting out. The things that we're learning together in here, me, Silas, and our little lifer circle, carries on beyond the reach of the gate. So everything that we're doing now actually transfers over to lifelong lessons that we've learned from in here, and it helps us to succeed. And it's one of the things that I appreciate for the board is they get to see it, and when we come in there and we talk it, they get to hear it themselves, and they know when we're ready. And so, some of the guys that may go in there, they might have a little easier path than guys like me or Silas. But, our success rate for us, man, is pretty high. And it's just when we are found suitable, it's a validation of how far we have come,
Three-way call alert.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, it's just one of the things that we were talking about is that like people kind of from what I've seen, people prepare for BPH like they're preparing for like a job interview, and admittedly so. When I began the process of preparing for board, I went along with the same mindset, and I think it's really an error on anybody's part that's preparing for release, because essentially what you end up doing is just preparing for that process, and not much is left for post-release. Everybody is interested in, gaining the grant, but what happens when you get what you want? Have you been doing the work so that when you matriculate into society, it's a continuum of what you've been doing, as opposed to you just hitting the reset button and starting from scratch. And a big part of that is living, in your transformation. Like we hear, one of the things I heard earlier today, I love Ricky. He corrected somebody earlier. Somebody said change when they were talking about, their process. And change is is an iffy word, when you're talking about your recovery, and restoration, because change, you can vacillate back and forth with change, transformation, there's something that's done that can't be undone. There's no going back. And I like that he pointed that out earlier today.
You know what?
Yeah.
Right now that you mentioned change, I know I had I think it might have been when Joe got out, or maybe one conversation before he came out, but he was mentioning the word change. He used like a garden as an example as far as change. Like a change would be like taking out, if there was roses there, and then you replace those roses with like tulips, and then you want to transform, right? That's what you're trying to accomplish at the end of the day, right? You're trying to transform yourself.
Right. Exactly. Transformation is exactly what we're going for. I mean, when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon, and transforms into a butterfly, there's no going back to being a caterpillar anymore. That's done. That process is permanent. And that's more along the lines of what our life of community is looking at when we're talking about transformation from where we've come from.
And how do you?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You got this, Ricky.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. What was you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna ask, like, how do you transform yourself? What are the steps? What are the proper steps that you need to do, to get from point A all the way to point Z to accomplish that transformation?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I'll talk a little bit about that. There's a lot of steps that go into that, and I'm at the part now to where I'm really in the maintenance phase of my own personal recovery. But one of the things that when I came to decide that I asked myself was who I wanted to be at the end of the day. Who did I want to be? Not only who I wanted to be, but what kind of image did I want to provide for my two daughters, and I've always had that in my mind. Even though I was doing all this time, I never knew I was going to have an opportunity of getting out. But I've always wanted to educate myself, not only through the schooling and rehabilitation here, but on a personal level too. I wanted my daughters, when they got old enough to get to know me, I wanted them to see me as their dad and be able to respect me for the man that I become, even though I had come to prison for a terrible crime. And, so for me, I wanted to have goals, who I wanted to be, what a man looked like. And so I for me, it was to be a better father, to be somebody that my kids respected. And one of the things that I had to do was respect other people first and be kind to others, but also make sure that I was educating myself so I didn't come across as some dummy, some fraud.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
As an average prisoner or a convict, I didn't want them to see that side of me.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
To be a human.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So the transformation process really started with that. Hello?
Okay. I guess I'll dip out early and reset and try and stagger it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a triple whammy on that one.
Huh?
We got a triple whammy. We got hit with like a bunch of recordings at the same time. The 30-second or the 60-second notification. So it kind of threw everything off.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ricky's call was disconnected, and we got Silas coming back in right now. And
This call is now being
Global
recorded.
Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
all right, Silas.
Hello?
Okay, so we're currently waiting for Ricky to call in, but you could go ahead and continue.
I just, I thought that was really cool what he touched on. I mean, I think that, you know, as you get older, you know, especially you spending a couple decades in here, you know, you start to really think about, you know, what kind of an impact you want to leave on the planet, you know, and on your family, you know, what kind of legacy that you want to leave. And you know, the older you get in here and the more that you walk into your manhood and mature, you know, I've found that, you know, I want to be the type of person, like he said, you know, I've been estranged from my daughter, had, you know, got back in contact with her, and it's been, you know, it's been slow going, you know, and it's because of the position that, you know, I put myself in here, and the chasm that I've set between us, you know, with all of my actions past. And I think what he just said is really important. It's about legacy and you know, what kind of impact you want to leave, and who do you want to be remembered as, you know, and I had to ask myself, do I want my daughter to remember me as just some gang member that went to prison, you know, for taking a man's life and continuing to harm people once he was in the system, you know, until he died. Like, I mean, that's not a, you know, that's not a legacy of peace. It's not a legacy of love. It's not a legacy of empathy or anything that can be admired or respected, you know. And I mean, the only way to change the narrative is to change who you are from the inside out.
And that's where you start at, and I know that's where I started at. Was okay, you know, I wanted to change my image of who I was in here, and I wanted to create an image that my daughters could respect. And you know, you don't know how your kids are going to grow up when they become adults and how they're going to look at you or view you. You know, being in prison for taking a man's life, you never know how they're going to respond to that. But, you know, I knew if I bettered myself and they saw that I was bettering myself, I knew that they could respect that at the end of the day. So that first was the goal that I had, was to be somebody that my daughters could respect. And I had to do that by educating myself and rehabilitating myself. And, you know, once I figured that out, I knew that I had to change my belief system, what I believed. And, you know, a lot of people, when they're trying to change their life, maybe, you know, you keep running into the same problem over and over again. And I know for me, that was my problem. I always ran into the same problem over and over because I didn't know how to deal with it. And what I know now through my recovery is, once I changed my belief system, I never ran into the same problems over and over again. I find easy solutions today because the solutions that I have are communicating first, finding common ground, which is one of the things that I learned in AVP, right? Respecting others, being kind, and treating others like I want to be treated. And as soon as I started doing that, things started changing for me and opening up for me. And, you know, today, like I was talking to Silas, and I said, man, I never knew that when I was active, I could come over here on the SMY side
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Who's my enemy, and actually get along with him real well. And that was Silas. And I know a lot of guys struggle with that. But in order to get there to that point in my life, I had to change my belief system and who I was as a person. And so those are the beginning steps that you have to take. And ultimately, in the end, it's the belief system that's going to catapult you forward. And, you know, so you can have some progress.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, what you believe has a huge effect on what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. You know, it's an inhibitor or it can be a catalyst. You know, for me, you know, I was brought up in the home with my father and grandfather, and they instilled, you know, hard work, you know, eloquence, education, you know, and work ethic, you know, and all of those things. And I went outside the home and said, you know, no, I want to discard these, you know, and I want to do this, you know, and I adopted a belief system that I wasn't taught in the home, and it wasn't my own, you know, and for me, I really drank the Kool-Aid, you know, and so once you get shackled to a faulty belief system, you know, I mean, you can't tell somebody that's insane that they're crazy. You know, they're never going to believe you. You know, I mean, you know, I honestly and earnestly believe for a good portion of my life that what I was doing was the only choice. You know, that was my only option. You know, because I talked myself into believing that. You know, but once I educated myself, you know, or I should say re-educated myself, because for me, my recovery has essentially been returning to everything that I know to be true, to the values that were already laid out before me, you know, during my formative years. So, yeah, I think beliefs are a strong catalyst to behavior. You know, we all know thoughts, feelings, actions, you know, and framing things, you know, but beliefs are a big part of that.
The beliefs are definitely the driver behind your actions, you know, and because if you believe it, then your actions are going to follow it. And so, you know, a lot of people, I know, you know, myself, you know, my belief system was the driver behind, you know, every decision I made in my life. And, you know, one of the things that I was reading in Silas's transcripts, he told the commissioner that he didn't do a 180, he did a 360 degree turn. I believe something like that. He was saying it, yeah, 360. And when I thought about that, you know, I remember the tattoo I got on my fingers.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And one of the reasons I got that tattoo was, you know, I wanted to return to being true to myself and who I was and what I learned at my, you know, early on in my life. And it was getting back to really being me, rediscovering who I really was at heart, without, you know, taking on other people's garbage, you know, which I think a lot of us did as teenagers. We took on a lot of other people's baggage and started carrying it ourselves. So, you know, I had to definitely rediscover who I was as a person and go back to those earlier years of my life. And so it's definitely a 360-degree turn for myself.
Yeah, I was just telling one of the youngsters in the building earlier today. He had a manuscript, and he was talking about like his journey, and he had 3 stages for his book, three separate sections. And I said, and I asked him if he had ever heard of Joseph Campbell, and and the hero's journey. And, I was like, this is pretty much, the sequence, separation, initiation, and return. You know what I mean? And obviously the separation is, you can count that as, as leaving the home and entering in the gangland culture and all of the craziness, the initiation, your life crime, coming to prison, your journey throughout. And the return, is actually, I wouldn't count the return as actually return to society. I would say that I've initiated my return for about a year now. I'm like a year into the return. You know what I mean? And that is your arrival of you arriving at your manhood and who you were really meant to be, who you were truly meant to be. And yeah, it's crazy that you just said that, because that's exactly what the hero's journey, it exemplifies.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I agree with. It's not a 180; it's a 360. It's returning back to who you are, originally, before we took on all this stuff. So, yeah, it was something that I caught in your transcripts that I agreed with.
I have my moments.
So as far as transformation goes, James, I think those are two things that are a focus. Is what's your goal? Who do you want to be? What are you trying to achieve? I mean, you have to have that in mind. Who is it that you want to be, and then you don't get to the point to where you understand right away that you have to change your belief system. But once you do that inventory, it becomes apparent that it's the beliefs that are the drivers behind your actions. And if you want to change and transform into to somebody.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Then those are two areas that you should focus on.
Thank you. We have Lysa, and she's also providing some comments in our chat here, and she wrote BPH is no joke, and there's no bullshitting it. And she also wrote the rehabilitation programs offered by the CDCR help them rewire their thinking, transform. CGA, Criminal Gangmembers Anonymous, GOGI, Getting Out by Going In, and AVP-Alternative to Violence, NA and AA, Anger Management, Power and Control, Denial Management, college courses, GED, all kinds of help. They even have actors workshops, Inside Out Writers, Victim Awareness. So she's definitely also providing a lot of good information that anybody that wants to transform should be taken advantage of, while they are in the CDCR, if they want to come home.
Absolutely. I mean, she just
Yeah.
rolled out the whole program slate. I mean, either she's an administrative plant, or we need to get her in here to start facilitating.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely the roadmap. And I know me and Silas both have done all of those programs that she's talking about, and have facilitated them too. And originally when I started getting involved with the self-help, I really didn't like the testimonial aspect of the self-help groups. But if it wasn't for those testimonials, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So when I look back now, I'm very appreciative of all the men that shared their journey and their testimonies with me. And each one of them gave me a step in the process of transformation, and they got me where I'm at today. So she is definitely
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Help.
I think that's kind of like what ties everything together. I mean, obviously, first of all, you need to make the decision. the decision is the most important thing, to transform yourself. After that, I mean, once the resources are available to you and you take advantage, you have to be open to the process, and the stories, are really what are impactful. All of us sharing our stories and our journey together, and you realize that it's all relative. All of the BS that I've been through, that Ricky's been through, where he grew up, where I grew up, his ethnicity, all of it is relative, and we all are part of one big.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Like it's so profound and impactful that it.
All right, so that was who got cut off?
That was Silas.
Silas. Okay, Silas got cut off.
Yeah, that was Silas. Yeah, one of the things that you learn in these groups is we all may look different and we all may come from the different side of the street, but our stories are so similar to each other, like you form a bond right away. So,
do you want to call back, Ricky?
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from.
This call is now being recorded.
An incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Hello, Silas. So,
Okay, I'm back.
So you are definitely right about Lysa, and she writes the following message. And I was aware of this fact before you mentioned it, but I wasn't sure if she wanted me to share that, so I didn't throw it out there. But Lysa, she writes, it's harder to program depending on your level, but you can still do it in cell classes, book reports. I'm a BPH attorney.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that was a lot of information to roll out, so I knew she had some type of expertise, and welcome, and thank you for listening in with us, Lysa. Yeah, and I mean, that's definitely good information that people need to hear.
Maybe we could get on a call one of these days, and you could speak with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, it's the thing that's lacking, but behind these walls, behind these gates, is just this information. Like, and it's a shame because this is the age of information, and there's so much misinformation being passed around that, I mean, just someone of her ilk, could be so impactful because this is someone who is a professional, who is an attorney, who has been through the battles, and actually seen, the whole hemisphere of BPH and what it takes. And I think that's important for people to get from a trained professional, and a lot of times in here it's kind of like the blind leading the blind, because the access to information and is what hinders people ultimately from advocating for themselves. And so I mean that's definitely a big part of it. So yeah, I mean I definitely welcome her to come on and share what information she has. A free consultation could do everybody some good.
And just to get you up to speed.
Well.
Just to get you up to speed. So, Lysa, so she the one of the last messages she wrote she writes, it's harder to program depending on your level, but you can still do in cell classes, book reports. I'm a BPH lawyer. She's a lawyer. That's what she's dropping those gems on us in the chat.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, well, currently, as I speak, I've been trying to reach out and hire an attorney myself, and having a hard time getting a hold of the guy. But I've been, because I go September 18th, I go to board, and I've been trying to get a hold of Joseph Magazzini in hiring, and because it's like I tell all my friends, all the answers that the board, all the questions the board asks of you, the answers are within all of us, and you can answer the questions, but there's that 5 to 10% that the attorneys know that we simply don't know. Like Silas was talking about, there's a aspect to the board hearing that we simply don't know. We don't have all the resources to research things or understand what the commissioners are asking. Like a lot of guys don't know what a causative factor is, and those are some of the things that we teach each other in here. But had somebody not taught it to me, I couldn't teach it to somebody else. But those are the things that attorneys know. And also in your writing, your attorney is able to read your writing and see where you're making a mistake at in your own essays or book reports or whatever it is that you're writing. It can help guide you in making sure you're writing things the right way. Because I'm one of the ones that my first board hearing, when I wrote about my life crime, I said something that I shouldn't have said in writing the story, and they hammered it on me real hard at my first hearing. And it was the topic was intentional murder. If I intended to kill the man that I had assaulted, and because I'm not the one who I ordered the hit, I'm not the one who actually killed the guy. So when asked if I intended to kill him, I said no. And even in my writing, I said I didn't intend for it to happen. And I even said it at my psyche vow. Later, after my hearing, I researched it and talked to a lot of my friends. And now I know today that my intentions were intentional. And in fact, I intended for my victim to be murdered because it was premeditated, it was deliberate, and it was willful. But those are the things that if your attorney could read your stuff first, can help you in the board process, so that don't bite you in the butt when you go in a hearing, like it did for myself.
Right, and I believe, and we know, like the group of earnest individuals within our lifer community. I believe that like a lot of the missteps that are made by people, they aren't malicious or like a lack of insight per se. I think that it's just that they don't really have a grasp of what's being asked, or like, just for example, during one of our groups, I was asked, why did I have a gun the day of my life crime? And I thought, well, are you nuts? I was an active gang member. I had it to protect
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Well, that answer is absolutely incorrect. I had a weapon to kill someone if they confronted me, or if I felt like someone disrespected me, or which is exactly what I ended up doing. And I was under the delusion, even years later, that, I just had the gun to protect myself. No, I had the gun because I was prepared to use it in the event that...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
A circumstance arose where I would have an opportunity to use it. And I like what you said, like, Ricky, last year we were talking about criminality in the chapel during one of the prep courses, and you talked about opportunists, criminals being opportunists, and that's exactly right. I was walking around with that weapon waiting for an opportunity to do what I had planned to do with that weapon when I picked it up and I put rounds in it, and me recognizing that now, like, I wasn't a murderer. I didn't become a murderer January 5th, 2001. I just hadn't committed the act yet. I was a murderer walking around way before I actually fired those shots.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting way of looking at that. Yeah, it's something I agree with as well. Yeah, definitely criminals are opportunists, and so are gang members. But one of the things in that class, confronting criminal thinking, I thought that was interesting, and I had come across that myself in a prior group, and criminals are opportunists, and we're just looking for an opportunity for a quick come up, and a lot of people don't understand that. But why you commit a crime, why did you commit that crime? And a lot of times is being a criminal with that criminal thinking, you're walking around daily for an opportunity for a quick come up, and it doesn't matter what it looks
This
like.
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Once the opportunity presents itself, you're already going to act on it because you're already in that criminal mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really important for all of us in here, particularly the lifer community, to be educated, because nobody should go into BPH, who's doing the work, and transforming themselves, and be denied simply because of the lack of aptitude. I think that's patently unfair. Information should be available before you get to the comprehensive risk assessment or 6 months out. There needs to be the groups are great, and the groups are a wonderful asset. They provide those, and I mean, I'll be the first to say that I applaud CDCR for their efforts, in giving us the materials that we need. But I do believe, however, that the CC1s could work a little bit closer with their, being case managers to prepare guys a little bit, because it's kind of like if you're not blessed to have a recovery community and you're just like doing this on your own, like it's kind of like getting thrown into the deep end.
Like, wouldn't you think that the library itself would have a book or books on the board process, or of even the terminologies of contributing factors, causative factors, character defects, things of that nature, what they are, right? I know that some of the things that when I first got into the process, I didn't know what any of those things were. And to find somebody to define those things for me in simple terms was very, very hard to find. And I used to ask a lot of people. And what happened was I wound up taking a course through Posse Solutions. And I did a causative factor course through there. And I learned the difference between causative factors and contributing factors. And so I started facilitating a causative factor course on the yard to help other guys understand what they were. But it took an agency outside of prison to actually provide me with that information. Whereas there's so many lifers in prison, you would think that information, if the board requires you to know that it'd be available here in the library so everybody would have access at it.
Right. And you just brought up an interesting point. You got that information by being a self-starter, and that can't be overstated. You know, the veracity that you approach, you know, acquiring information and networking and seeking resources. I mean, it comes down to, you know, do you want to have a fruitless conversation on the yard, you know, with somebody, or are you actively seeking out individuals, you know, who could possibly be a resource so you can fight for your recovery. You know, I think that's really big. I mean we have these tablets now, and I mean this tablet is I mean, there's so many different resources available. I mean, as you know, if I didn't know what a causative factor was.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I could call my wife and have her Google it, the definition, and screenshot it to me in the Getting Out app. You know, there are so many different avenues, and what you did, you know, I'm sure you did that when we didn't have these tablets, and you know, being a self-starter is an important part of all of our rehabilitations, you know.
Posse Solutions defined it in one sentence for me, and I haven't forgot it yet. And I've yet to find any other company to define causative factors in the way that he did. And it's something that I share with everybody now because it's so simple to understand. But it's when you...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I mean, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Causative factors was one of the hardest things that I myself had to learn and then understand. And that went through, I don't know, maybe a year and a half of researching it on the yard in Ironwood until I took the course myself and then figured out what it was. But, those things, they're not easily defined, and they're not...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I guess, shared with each other, you know, to have somebody articulate it to you in a concise way is, it's hard in prison because everybody's just learning at their own pace with the limited information and resources that they have here. So.
All right, Ricky, if you would like to call back, and then...
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from...
Silas Johnson.
This call is now being recorded.
Individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Silas.
Oh, all right, I'm back.
All right. So when Ricky calls back in, this will probably be our last call. You know, we'll be at the hour mark. I know Ricky, he goes to sleep early, and I definitely don't want him to be dragging his feet tomorrow, and because he's gonna be tired. But when he calls back, I'm gonna read some more messages that Lysa, dropped in the chat, and let me connect this call with Ricky right now. He's calling right now.
Okay.
All right. So we should be connecting in the next moment or two.
Okay. While we got a second, I just want to send a shout out to all of the viewers tonight, and Ricky, James, and I, sincere thanks and gratitude for you guys hanging with us this late on the late night hype. We really appreciate it, and a lot of this information that's being shared, can cultivate, transformation within individuals, and we really appreciate you being a part of this with us.
Yeah, I second that also. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And just to give you a heads up, Ricky, after this call, this will be our last call. But I wanted to go ahead and read off some messages that Lysa wrote on the chat here. She was saying that you guys were absolutely on point, and also he's right. He's right. He's on the right path to suitability, and also she wrote and the worst part is that most of the guys don't know much about how to file a resentencing request due to new crime reform laws. No one is sharing that either in an unfair playing field, and Lamar just tapped in.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. What's up, big bro? Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. You know, the lack of information. I mean, I say it all the time. In the age of information, it should be a crime to be ignorant. You know, I mean, there's too many different mechanisms where you can gain information. You know, I mean, for real. You know, so it's, you know, and we're doing our part in here to, you know, every time we, you know, whether it be updates from Initiate Justice, ARC, or, you know, Lifers newsletter, California Lifers newsletter, or if it's just us coming back with the personal experience and an anecdote that we can infuse the community with, you know, we're all doing our part.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You're absolutely right about that, Silas.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the reasons that, you know, I started this channel, you know, at least to try to get some of that information out, you know, to help, you know, people out, you know, because like Lysa said, you know, they're not sharing this information, and maybe this will help, you know, people get the right information on their hands, and maybe it'll help a person or two, you know, come home a little bit earlier, you know, sooner than later.
Well, there's a company called Posse Solutions that has every course that you could think of for lifers. And if you're going to board and you wanna educate yourself, contact Posse Solutions, man, and take some of his courses. You know, it'll pick your knowledge up quickly.
And what was the name of the courses again?
He has every course that you could think of, but he has.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean
that. He has causative factor.
Not the name of the
company.
Course. Yeah, the company. Yeah.
Posse Solution. Yeah, Posse Solution.
Posse Solutions. Okay, perfect. Got it. Thank you. I'll
Posse Solutions.
I'm gonna add this to the description of the
and
video.
He's a ex-lifer. He had LWOP and did I believe 36 years. His name's Nick Woodall, and he actually got his LWOP overturned by Governor Brown. Got out and started his own company, and he's out of Ridgecrest. He's doing actually really well, and he's the one that helped educate me and actually put my last board pack back together. And he's recognized by the board, and his courses are too.
Yeah, he's in my tablet. He's in my tablet.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Childhood friend of mine, Silas.
And take a look.
Childhood friend of mine.
Okay, so all right. Okay, cool. All right, well there it is, right there. I just got some information on the live stream, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he's a real good guy too, and very. I think he's wrote many books like you, Silas.
Well, I'm only one book in. I'm the second one is in the oven. Yeah. Yeah, he's
so listen, a very knowledgeable individual.
I wanted to go over something, probably something a little bit darker. Relapse, the dreaded relapse word, right? And I was taught, I was told, right? I was educated that relapse can be traced to the 3 R's: responsibility, relationships and rejection. I wanted to get your feedback on that. Ricky, what do you think about that?
Those are definitely three areas that can trigger a relapse, because as we know, relationships can be toxic, right? Responsibility can be overwhelming, especially for those of us that might get out and have the responsibility of providing for ourselves, right? And that could be overwhelming. And rejection. I mean, isn't that why we all joined gangs in the begin with and started, becoming outlaws and right? That rejection.
Man,
right? So being rejected by our
man.
community and society will definitely lead to a relapse.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, just to have it broken down in those categories, because, I mean, all of those things are just, potential landmines, particularly for a long-term offender who's done, upwards of 2 decades in prison, and you go home and, relationships are not what they were. They're totally different. There'll be a newness. I know that there'll be a newness, of coming home, hey, everybody's glad to see you, and this and that, and if, but I mean, after a while, if you're not out there, with your nose to the grind, you're just somebody sleeping on somebody's couch.
I mean,
what
do we know about a healthy relationship? What do we know about a healthy relationship? We've been locked up for so long. What's a healthy relationship look
This
like?
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I know next to nothing. But if my wife was on here, she would tell you that she's teaching me.
Yeah, there's no doubt she is. That's something that's going to be new to me and you outside of here. And, it's a lot of work, man. I know it's a lot of work and it's a lot of responsibility. And it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, the responsibility. I mean, look at how, minimal our responsibilities are in here. I mean, I've been in here since I was 23, and I mean, I had a couple of jobs, before I came to prison. But I mean, even with that, I felt the freedom to walk away from jobs and just to quit, because, there was never, I just flew by the seat of my pants. And, there is, being a man, my parents are gone, and, 46 years old, there's no moving back in the house, with my folks.
Yeah.
It's sink or swim. And nobody's gonna care, for all of the people that, that fail, to meet the challenge of life. They're falling by the wayside. So, I mean, it's a dose of reality, But I mean, it's one of the reasons why, I believe the Lifer community in here, we go out there and we really succeed, because we understand, the importance of an opportunity, and no lifers are going out there and sleeping on an opportunity. We going out there and taking it over.
Yeah, I had a discussion with one of my buddies who works for ARC today about that. But, I wrote a paper for board called Reflections on Relapse. And I know for lifers, relapse is an ugly word, because it means for me and you that if we relapse, we're not going to be found suitable for parole. So it's, when we talk about relapse,
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
What comes to our mind is not being found suitable for parole if we relapse in here. But relapse doesn't have to be an ugly word or looked at in an ugly way, because relapse is a big part of recovery, and it's something that we have to plan for. And the 3 R's that you were talking about are 3 areas that me and you definitely have to be mindful of.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at the tablet. It's given the 12 o'clock.
Me too.
Warning. You will be logged out in 2 minutes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So this is ladies and gentlemen, looks like it's our swan song. We're gonna turn it over to James so he can sign off. Ricky and I want to thank you guys for tuning in with us on the Late Night Hype, and we hope to see you guys.
Yes.
All right, yeah. I know. Yeah, I heard you about the 2 minute mark. Yeah, that 12 o'clock. We got no Cinderellas in here, but we gotta move it fast before it cuts you guys off.
Thank you, James, and you guys have a good night.
You as well. Thank you. I
too, brother.
Really appreciate you guys jumping on tonight and share your knowledge with our audience. And like I say around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And with that, we are out.
All right, my name.
All right, thank you. And Lysa,
Right.
thank you for offering to send out those petitions for the Franklin motion and Romero, the AB 600 745 Racial Injustice Act. Really appreciate that. And I think I have the Franklin and I'm pretty sure I have the Franklin and the Romero, but I'll look up that AB 600 and that other one. I'll look it up, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna copy and paste this here on my notes so I don't forget. But once again, I appreciate all of you guys tuning in, and I probably won't be on tomorrow. I'll most likely be back on Saturday. Tomorrow I have to work, or maybe I'll be able to get on in the daytime. I'm not sure, but if I am on, you guys will get that notification. All right, and thank you guys. You guys go ahead and have a good night.